How many times have you heard somebody say you need to work on the business instead of in the business? I know I've said it multiple times. You've probably heard others say it too. Well, what does that even mean? Because if you're like most HVAC business owners, you're probably thinking, look, Kelly, like I am working on the business, right? I'm answering the phones, I'm running service calls, I'm handling customers, I'm dealing with any complaints that come in or complaints with other employees, right? You handle quotes, you put out fires when they start, you manage employees, you deal with suppliers, you deal with payroll, you deal with everything. So what exactly are people talking about? What am I talking about when I say you need to work on the business instead of in the business? Today I'm going to break this down because understanding this concept changed my life and it changed my business, and it can do the same for you. For years, I thought that I owned a business. Then one day I realized I didn't own a business, I just owned a job. And the worst part about that is that I was the lowest paid employee. I was working late nights, I was working weekends, missing a ton of family time, not taking care of myself, right? I was stressed out to the max, constantly reacting, and I thought that the answer was just more calls, right? If I could get more calls, so because of that mentality, I spent more money on marketing, advertising, I hired more people, I got more trucks. But the real problem was that I was spending almost all of my time operating the business and almost no time improving the business. That's the subtle difference. That's the shift that needs to happen. So here's the simplest definition that I've found when it comes to working on the business versus working in the business. If you're working in your business, you are doing the work, right? That's when you're doing the thing. Working on the business means that you're improving the systems that do the work. So think about that for a second. If you're running service calls, you're working in the business. If you're building a service call process that every technician is going to follow, then you're working on the business, right? So if you're answering phones, you're working in the business when you do that activity. If you're creating a call handling process for your CSRs, then you're working on the business. One creates results today, just doing the thing will get the results today. The other creates results forever. Now, one of the first things that I teach inside of Playbook 1 is awareness. This is called the owner shift. This is Playbook 1 right here of the HVAC operating system. Because most owners don't actually know where they are. They know that they're busy, but they don't know what's actually broken. They don't know what's limiting their growth. They think they know, but sometimes what they think is not actually what's happening. They just know that they're dealing with chaos and they're busy all the time and they just don't feel like they're moving forward. So working on the business starts with asking questions like, what is my biggest bottleneck? What is costing me the most money? What keeps showing up over and over again? Where am I spending time that someone else could eventually do, right? So most people skip this step and they just stay busy. But being busy and being productive are not the same things. I know you've experienced this before. You can be busy all day long and never move the business forward. Playbook 2, which is called the profit engine, which is right here, this is where we really begin this shift that's going to happen in your company. Because once you become aware of all the challenges and problems, you start building systems. So to give you an example, let's say callbacks are a problem. Well, most owners complain about callbacks if they're happening. Working on the business asks, what process would reduce callbacks, right? So maybe it's better startup procedures, better commissioning, better quality control, better technician training. Well, when you think like that, now you're actually building an asset. So let's say one of the challenges is inconsistent leads. Instead of worrying every week, you build a marketing system. So now the business isn't relying on luck or the weather. This is where owners begin transforming from technicians who own businesses into an actual business owner. So here's the big shift that changed everything for me. Like every time a problem happened, I stopped asking like, how do I fix this? And I started asking, how do I make sure that this never happens again? And that question is going to force you into systems thinking. And systems is what's going to create freedom for you and your company. The owner who solves problems every single day stays trapped. I call it the technician trap. You know, the owner who builds systems becomes scalable. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take out a piece of paper. I want you to draw a line down the middle. And on the left side, I want you to write working in the business. And on the right side, you're going to write working on the business. And I want you to think of every single task you've done over the past week, every single task, like every activity, every responsibility that you feel like you're responsible for. And every time you think of one of these tasks, you're going to put it in one category or the other. Is it working in the business or is it working on the business? And most owners discover something really shocking. 95% of their time is spent in the business, and almost zero, zilch, none is spent working on the business. That's why they're exhausted. That's why growth feels hard. That's why the business still depends on them. So if you are serious about building a business that doesn't depend on you for every decision, every phone call, and every fire that pops up, that's why I've created the HVAC operating system. The first two playbooks are designed to help you identify what's holding you back and begin building the systems that create real freedom. If you'd like to get your hands on these playbooks, they're available for free. Check out the link below and grab your copy. And remember, a technician works in the business. An owner improves the business. And the day you understand the difference is the day that everything begins to change. This, today, is your moment.